Hello, welcome to this month's LinkedIn Live. I'm Erin. As you may know, I do these on Wednesdays. I wish I could say they were always the same Wednesday every month, but generally speaking, they are the second and last Wednesday of the month at 10:30 Eastern, where I talk to you about the things you're asking me about or what's happening lately regarding artificial intelligence and copyright matters. So these are recorded. This is being recorded right now. The recording will be available on my LinkedIn profile. If you aren't connected, please go ahead and do that. And also my YouTube channel for Think Beyond IP. And this is a one-way communication. I have tried to do Zoom to see how that worked. And so with StreamYard, which is what I'm using, I don't know that you're out there. So please feel free to say hi, put it in the comments. Love to hear from you. Also, the nature of this streaming is that there's a little bit of a delay between when you put a comment in the comment box and when it pops up for me. So don't wait to the end to ask your questions. If something comes up while I'm speaking, please feel free to pop it in the comment box. I will answer it during the stream if I can. If not, I'll answer it in the comments to the recording. So I will talk to you for about 15 minutes. Today's topic is state laws governing regulating AI, and then we'll have as much time for Q&A as you need. And so just to let you know, of course, this is just legal information, not legal advice, and do not put any confidential information into the comment boxes. Hey. All right, so let's talk about state AI laws and why I'm going to talk to you about Colorado in particularly. So first, overall, I've been talking to you probably weekly, I think pretty much weekly, about why we need to be mindful of the legal issues regarding AI. There's obviously a lot of ethical issues. We talk about that too, but we have contractual obligations today towards our clients. But what is either happening or on the horizon are also statutory obligations. Those are laws that we will have obligations as well regarding our use regarding AI. And our corporate clients, of course, even today, if you look at one of your client agreements, it will say that the services that you provide are in compliance with all applicable laws. And if not now, very soon, those applicable laws will include laws regarding your usage of AI. So there's been a lot of activity to say that regulation is way behind the development of AI usage and its proliferation showing up pretty much everywhere is an understatement. Although there have been hundreds of state level regulations put forward, most of them apply. Well, I should say the few that have been enacted apply to developers. So to people like the open AIs of the world and the Metas of the world that are developing AI tools, very few of them are targeted towards what are termed deployers or users, what you and I are deployers of AI. We use it in our businesses. This is like just a brief roundup. You would have thought California would be it made the top of my list, but would be at the head of the pack regarding AI regulations because they are at the head of the pack regarding data protection. And some of their data protection regulations obviously would apply to AI as well. But a lot of these are regarding government use of AI. Or specific industries. The interesting ones are about deep fakes, obviously very important. The quality of videos and voice replication is, obviously advanced significantly. What did not make my slide here is the Tennessee has a deep fake AI law to protect the big industry that is Elvis Presley in particular. So obviously, if people can just take Elvis's image and reproduce his voice, that would have a great impact on the value of his publicity rights. Yeah, Erica says, I thought California would be the first. And they are in a way, just because they are way ahead with data protection, but specifically to AI transparency, Colorado has taken the lead. So let's talk about Colorado. So it is the first that really regulates both developers and deployers. And so we're looking at it as an example of what we can expect, what California will do, assuming they get there, but what's on the books and trying to get passed is very similar to what Colorado is doing. Virginia has something that did pass the legislation, but that the governor vetoed. Maryland has something that's coming through that's very similar. Utah as well. I'm sure others, but those are the ones I have read about recently. Yes, Elvis is dead. And so not only will it, it also will give us some ideas about what we should be doing to get prepared. This law is scheduled to take effect in February unless delayed by further legislative action, which was a significant issue. Some of you may not know that the Big Beautiful Bill had in it an AI regulation moratorium. So it would have prevented any state laws from regulating AI usage. That was removed at the last minute, I'm happy to say. So there should not be anything that would interfere with this and other state level acts going into effect. All right, so overall, Colorado applies to high risk AI systems. So it's not about just, every use of ChatGPT. It is about, if you're using AI to make decisions that are significant, that can have major impact on people's lives, basically. So using it in the areas of education, employment, financial services, healthcare, legal services. So an example here, and there is litigation right now about AI screening job applicants that people are accusing. Workforce is the one, if I'm thinking, not I know there's Salesforce. I'm pretty sure it's called Workforce, that is being sued because they think that they are screening applicants. So they're not even getting past the first round with their AI tool. Using it to summarize medical records. I spoke to a group of consulting psychologists last week, and they want to be able to use, they take notes, they want to be able to use it to summarize their notes and have a really efficient way of doing that, and what tools are safe for them to use. There has been a number of cases as well regarding giving financial advice based on AI tools. I'm thinking of one in particular in the insurance industry where an insurance provider or broker, I should say, used AI tool to recommend the level of coverage that a client needed. It recommended not enough coverage. A claim came in, they were underinsured, and now there is litigation regarding who's responsible for that. And so at the highest level, they're trying to make sure that, that the algorithm isn't discriminating in the way that decisions are made. They want to make sure that consumers, and usually these are around consumer issues, are understand when AI is being used. They need to have a way of understanding and rejecting it if they don't want to use it. impact assessments, and transparency about how you're using AI to make consequential decisions. So this is Colorado in particular. And by the way, I want to apologize for the quality of my slides today. I made them. This is why you don't let Erin make her own slides. And so they are pretty plain. So this is Colorado's, what we need to do with respect to if we're using high risk systems. Now, remember, this doesn't go into effect till next year. And if you're not in Colorado and you don't serve people in Colorado, it wouldn't apply to you. But again, this is what other states are probably going to model their laws on. So conducting an impact assessment, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, having a risk management policy, providing notice consent is essential, not just in recording, which has always been a requirement that if you're recording someone, that you have to get consent. But also like not just that you're recording, but that you're now processing that recording with AI. And if decisions are being made, that's why transparency, so people understand, like, was I rejected from a job because someone, a human being, really sat down and compared me to other applicants and determined that these other applicants were really a better fit, or was a decision made by a tool? I mean, well, let's think about, the insurance industry, health insurance industry, United Healthcare, obviously, very much in the news about the way that they're making decisions using AI and the need to appeal. In my particular social media algorithm will come up. There's a woman who does surgeries, reconstructive surgeries for women with breast cancer, and that she's always fighting to get different things that would be quality of life issues for her patients, not just, doing a mastectomy, but also making sure she can do reconstructive surgery for quality of life. And she's constantly fighting the AI regarding getting those things approved. And as always, we need to make sure that we have human oversight. So let's talk about more in particular, what is an impact assessment? So that requires us to take a look at what we're using, how we're using it. Could this harm someone's chances of getting some kind of life-altering need, whether it's a job, a loan, education, other important services? And is it being fair? Is it something that's being used in a fair way? So this impact assessment is something you're doing at the front end to make sure that you really understand how your tools will impact the decisions that you're making. And so, one of the big differences, I should say this, when we have state laws, if we do something and we have contractual obligations that we don't meet, then someone has a private cause of action against you to sue you for breach of contract. When these state laws come in, now the state has a cause of action against you. And there will be statutory penalties, for not being able to show that you met these obligations, to make sure that you are affirmatively, proactively assessing the impact, and that you have implemented a risk management policy that would minimize discrimination and harm, and at the end of the day, I mean, you'll recognize this as an AI usage policy, but that policy should make sure that you have a process for determining which tools you'll use and when, how you'll check for bias and errors. It's not enough to say, hey, that's the tool and that's what happened. You have an obligation to make sure when you are, everyone probably on this call who's an expert probably is working somewhere in how their clients are going to be making decisions and would fall into this high risk area. Lots of learning and development and coaches, um, all will be, doing strategic team building, all those types of things could fall into the high risk area. So we want to make sure we both are doing the assessment and that we have a policy in place. So there's a lot. I mean, right now, we're getting ready for these laws to come online that apply to us as deployers. But these are the things we should be doing anyway as professionals. We should be doing an inventory of our tools. Make sure we understand which we're using in connection with our decision making, how we're providing advice to our clients. What data are we processing? Even in the absence of state laws, we have confidentiality obligations with respect to our clients' data, and we need to make sure we understand how we are processing it, how the tools we are using are processing it. We'll want to make sure that our contracts and our disclosure or consents are updated. If someone comes onto your website and if they ask, like for instance, I have a chat bot on my website. It uses AI to get the answer, but it doesn't use AI, to process anything that the visitor does. But if I were to have a chat bot that somehow you ask a question and it captured your IP address and it linked you to who you are, and I started to create a profile of you based on that, like I would need to disclose that. And in your contracts, making sure that you have disclosures with your clients. Are you using it with your client deliverables, with your subcontractors, making sure you know if they're using it and how. So want to make sure you're updating your contracts and disclosures and start documenting your policy and internal policies. And just so you aren't, it's never my goal to overwhelm people. I have had the unhappy occasion of someone going, oh my God, what do I do now? I'm just overwhelmed. But at the end of the day, the state laws really just will reinforce what we've been talking about all along. As professionals, we have elevated responsibility to our clients. And so industry best practices probably will be higher than our state law requirements in any case. We do now and will always have our obligations to our clients to be responsible and protect their data. And of course, we need to protect ours as well. We should all have an AI usage policy in place. It doesn't need to be super complicated. My friend Erica, who is on this call, she has a wonderful AI usage policy that she has on her website. And I think Erica, if you put it in the comments, it'll show up in the recording as well. And to be transparent. And so long, as I like to say, there's no ethical use of AI that does not include human oversight, period. Like AI should never be making decisions without human oversight. We should always understand how a decision was made. If you have information and you don't know how it got from A to B, then that is not an ethical and responsible use of artificial intelligence. So with that, I'll end here. If you have any other questions, please stick them in the comments. If I don't answer them today, I'll answer them in the notes. So if you have additional questions about, the tools that you're using, concerns you have regarding client data, about coming laws, please feel free to book an AI clarity session with me. There's 60 minutes Zoom session. We can talk about anything you want to talk about during those 60 minutes. You have a contract you want me to review, questions about deliverables, questions about tools, and then we can make sure that you are confident in your use of AI. So with that, I'll wrap it up And thanks for joining me today.